and I will share my screen. All right. So, hi, and back to PowerPoint. Yeah. So, I'm going to create 3 new slides, all right, to continue where we left off yesterday. All right. So, if you can see my screen, here, you're going to see that what we have in this slide here is related to the things we handled yesterday, okay? But they are looking in a different format, all right? And you remember this when we took a screenshot to insert to our slides, okay, our presentation. Now, let's straight away start our work for today. So our outline for today is we are going to look at, first things first, slide master. All right? And then we're going to look at smart art. And then we'll look at text box. And then we will look at overlay. And then selection, pane, and animations, and then transitions. All right, so I'm going to try and be as fast and as clear as I can be, considering that we are considerably late already. All right, so first on our list is slide master. Now, slide master is an alternative way to do what we were trying to figure out yesterday. Yeah, when I told you that you could use one picture as a logo and affect all the other pictures, all the other slides rather, in your workspace. Yeah, so very quickly, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now you come to view, all right, which is usually the last option there. When you click on view, in the second space, second ribbon space, you have master views, all right? You click on slide master. Now, if you notice, I already have my picture here, but I can choose to add another for the sake of the class, okay? So open my folder where I have the picture, and then I drag and I drop. All right. And once I drop this here, the resulting effect should be it appearing on all of my slides. Okay. I've closed my master view, and if you look at my slide 3, it has the same picture there. Slide 4, same thing. Slide 5, same thing. Slide 6, slide 7, and so on and so forth. Okay, so Control Z, and we are back in master view. Now, part of the reason why it's not showing on the first page is because I was on the third, and if you notice where I'm hovering over, it says style and content layout will be used by slides 2 to 9. So my very first slide will be excluded because I did not highlight the master page. Okay, so if I click on this and delete, come back to my master page, and then I do the same process. As soon as I drop it, if you look at my preview on the left, whatever I do right now is going to affect all of the other slides. Now look at this, I reduce the picture, and I've not even okayed the picture to stay there. All right, but I already have a preview on my left. So that is how I got about the smaller logo you can see on my slide here. All right. Now I can choose to flip this however I want with my rotate button, rotate option, and the rotate option is under the format heading and under arrange. All right. So that's about that. When you want to exit that, you click on close master view, and you are back here. All right, now the next thing on our list is smart art. Right now, smart art simply helps us to convert text to beautiful digital representations without much stress. Okay, so now I'm going to come to this, my highlighted, this my bulleted text, which is our outline for day 2. Okay, I didn't add day 2. Outline for day 2. All right, so I have this here, and I'm going to highlight all of this. So I have all my text highlighted, and looking on the paragraph here, you see convert to smart art. Yeah, so paragraph option is under the home heading. All right, the place where you have bullet points and where you have your typesetting, you see convert to smart art as the third option. Okay, so convert to smart art, you click that, and then you see different options. And for every one I hover over, the text I have on my screen changes styles. All right, so I'm here now. I come to this, I come to this. Go over to this one that looks like a target board. Yeah, this one that looks like a process line. I come here and the continuous block process, but for the sake of this class, we'll be using the vertical block list option. Okay, now once you click on that, the ribbon headers will go directly to design, because it's assumed that you would want to customize this to your taste, to whatever it is you are doing at the time. Okay, so you can change this to whatever you want. Now I can change colors. I can make this to rhyme with my logo. This is the one that's closest because it has blue and green, and our logo is basically green and white. All right. Now you have smart art styles. Now for every of these options you have in your ribbons, if you click on, there are 3 arrows by their sides. If you click on the first, it scrolls up inside that selection space. If you click on the second, it scrolls down, it just shows you the next set of options. But if you click on the third, it will open the menu to give you full access to the options, okay? So if I want this to look a little bit more animated, I want it to look like a 3D setting, I can come and select any of this, any single one at all, and I have that. So you see that it looks like a 3D text. And then over that, you see that Microsoft has suggested the ones that will be the best match for the document I'm working on because it has been analyzed already. Okay, so I just use intense effect and make it look very intense. Now, you might ask, how do you edit the text in this, seeing as it has been put into a block diagram? Mind you, if you drag any of these diagrams or any of these blocks, it would move. Okay, so how do you edit the text in it? You either double click inside it, or, but then double clicking will give you access to whichever one you double clicked on. Yeah, whereas if you right click in the space beside, you're going to see an option that says show text pane. Okay, now if you click on show text pane, it brings out a small pop-up window on your left. And if you come to the bottom and hit enter, automatically another block adds to your diagram space, and you can put in whatever you want there. Okay, now let's say I want to write last tile, and that is it over there. Okay, when you're done with that, you hit cancel and click on the space beside, and all of that is done. Right, so that is that about smart art. Smart art helps you convert your text to art, to beautiful looking art with minimal force. All right, now let's say I want this page to be treated as confidential for whatever reason I may have, okay, which is identical to what I have here, right? So I come back here and I move this. Now to move a block of work in your Microsoft space, whichever of them it is, you just click on the on the size space of it. Okay, so wherever you insert an image, a text box, whatever, a shape, they would always give you a little space, either above and below or by the left and the right, so that you can manipulate it as you would want. Okay, so you come here and you come towards the edges until it becomes a 4-directional arrow. Okay, then you click down and you move it to the side, as I've done so. All right. Now, remember we're trying to recreate this that we have on our screen now. Okay, so I come back here and I click on Insert. Now, the Insert heading, like we talked about yesterday, allows you to insert whatever option you select into the current slide that you are on. So if I should click on Image or Pictures, I would add a picture, but I don't need the picture at the moment. I need the text box. All right, so I'm going to draw a text box here. And inside that, I am going to type the word confidential. All right. Now, if I highlight that and change the font to Comic Sans, that's COMICSANS, Comic Sans with space in between. All right. And then I increase the size of it to size 60 maybe. I'll have to adjust this a little, yeah. And then I change my text color to red, okay? And then there's an arrow on top the text box that looks like it's turning. That helps you to tilt your text box in whatever direction you would, right? So if you click down on that, you can turn it to a certain angle, and then you look for your 4-directional arrow towards the edges again. You drag, and you place it halfway on this, and you release. Now, you don't want it to conflict with what you have already. You just want it to be there, that it's confidential, okay? So how do you make this text less visible than it is? You click on the text again here, or on the text box, and go down to the format heading. Now that format heading only comes out when you select an editable object. It's not always readily there, at least on the version I am using on 2016 version. All right. Now I have text field, text outline, text effects, all right, word art styles basically. All right, so I click on the arrow beside word art styles. I click on the first A that is showing there, the A that looks like the one we used to change our font color earlier. And then you will see a transparency bar right there. Now, if you click on that and drag, it makes your text a little more transparent. Okay, so if I keep this at 66, 69, and 70, all right, if you can't get the figure directly, you come into the text space there and type in the number you want, and that's that. The word confidential is now less visible, but still going to catch the eye of whoever comes to this page. Okay, so click on the space outside of that, and you are done with adding the text confidential. So we just looked at how to manipulate a text box and how to reduce the visibility of certain text. Okay, now the next on our outline is overlay. Overlay basically just helps you to choose the layer that would be on top or behind. Okay, so if I come to the word confidential and I right click on that, let's see, is it here? Okay, no, left click on that here. In the format space, you'd see three or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. In the fourth, the subheading arrange. Okay, arrange, and then you have bring forward and send backward. Now, it's as simple as it sounds. If I click on send backward, confidential goes backward on the page that it is on. Okay, so the bring forward and send backward options are basically just the positional commands for whatever slide page you are on. So since I clicked on send backward, it went towards the back, and whatever was at the back is now in front of it. And so you see that our outline boxes are in front of the word confidential. Now, if we were to leave this document like this and send it out, unless the person is maybe thinking on the same level as you and feels that, okay, this should actually be confidential, the person may not really know that this is a confidential page or this is a confidential document. And so they might end up sharing the document to whoever they feel like should have it. All right. Now, the same, if you press Ctrl Z, obviously it's going to undo, but I'm going to show you how to send it forward. You go back to the format after you've clicked on the word confidential, go back to the format heading and then click on bring forward, and it brings it forward again. So it is now once more ahead of. Now, if you click on the arrow down that's beside the word bring forward, you're seeing bring forward and bring to front. Okay, this is useful when you have more than 2 items. Okay, so obviously there's going to be a hierarchy. One is going to be behind, one is going to be in the middle, one is going to be in front. That's if you have 3 items. Okay, now if you click on the one at the very end and you click bring forward, it's going to bring it to the second position. So it's going to be in between the 2 options. Whereas if you click bring to front, it jumps immediately to the front, all right, bypassing whatever is in between it. All right, and that's that for overlay. And then we move on to our next outline option, which is selection pane. Now, selection pane is in the format heading. So to access that, you need to select something first. Now, if you go to format and click on selection pane, all right, selection pane shows you all the things you have on your page at the moment. And then you have the logo of an eye beside each one on the list. Now, if I click the eye, it removes the title. Okay, if I click the eye icon beside the content placeholder, which is our bulleted points and the blocks, it hides that. Whereas if I click the eye beside text box, it hides the word confidential. Okay, so if you were minuted on a document or a slide like this and you are done with it, and you don't necessarily want to delete that part of the document, you can just easily come to your selection pane and hide it, and it stays hidden until you go and unhide, or whoever is handling the document unhides it. Okay, so I click that and bring it back, and we now know how to hide items on our slide. All right, now we look at animations. Okay, animations is basically just for you to, choose how your slide elements move. Yeah, so that it doesn't look so mechanical. Yeah. All right. So we have to come to our animations heading, right? And then we look at what we have here. Now, there are options under the animation subheading. The first is usually appear, then fade, then fly in, then float in. And I want to use fade for the purpose of this class here. And then beside that, once you've clicked on the option you want, okay, once you've clicked on the option you want, the effect options become selectable. Okay. Now, when you click on effect options, which is just beside the animations options that you previously selected, you see as one object, all at once, one by one, level at once, and level one by one. Okay, so we'll click one by one. And if you notice, the text is coming out one by one following the other. Okay, now, if you look towards your right, you'd see a timing schedule there. And if you leave that on click, yeah, the word on click, it's going to take the animation effect whenever you click on the star image or the star icon that is beside the slide page number. Okay, if you look to your left where you have slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, and slide 4, there is a small star that is showing under my slide 2 because of the animation that I added in it. And so for every time I click on that star, it's going to animate my window. Okay, I can stop it halfway and then start again, and it starts from the beginning and it loads out all of that. All right, so that's basically that about animation. You can choose to add more animation to whatever page you are on. You can change the animation style and change the effect options as much as you want. It's basically yours to do it as you will. Now, what animations help you do is, I said earlier, is just to make it look less mechanical, but animations also help you to list items in a presentation and bring them out on command. Okay, so if you add a delay to your animation timer, when you click on it, the first one comes out. So for example, you've decided that you will talk about each one for 4 seconds. Okay, and I change this to, okay, no, 4 seconds is actually a lot. Let's change that to 2.5 seconds, right? And then let's click on that. There's going to be a delay for 2 seconds, and then I say, okay, the first on our list is slide master, and then smart art. And then if you look at the next, we have text box. And as I'm talking, I give some time, and then I say overlay. And then after I say overlay, the next one that comes out is selection pane. And so it just comes out as I'm talking, and then there's animations. After animations, you go down to the world of transitions. After transitions, you have what we call the last tile. And when the last tile comes out, you know that you're at the end of the presentation. Okay? So you set your presentation timer and, or your animation timer rather, and work on how to deliver your lines so that with each line you finish, your animation keeps moving, keeps rolling out, and you just keep proceeding, and it makes you look a lot more professional. Okay, now there's something under animations I want us to look at. Okay, so if you look at the advanced animation subsection under animations, you'd see a trigger option. And that trigger, when you click it, you have on click off. Okay, so you can make it that it triggers at the click of a particular thing on that slide page. All right, so if I say trigger at the click of our content placeholder, if I click anywhere else, it's not going to respond to me. All right, and if you notice, the star under the number 2 has disappeared. But if I click on this, okay, mine is now selecting. Okay, let me change that again to title 1. All right, okay, I'm still editing here. This is because I'm still editing, but once I'm done with my slide, yeah, and I've saved, once I click during my presentation now, once I click on the trigger space, it is going to give me, yeah, that's it. It's going to give me my animation as I've previously programmed. Okay. Now, moving forward, we have transitions. Now, transitions are basically the changing of one slide to another slide. Okay. Transitions help you change from one slide to another slide, but in a less mechanical manner. So if I click on a slideshow button down here, okay, sorry, let's come back to this. All right, let's look at this now. When I click on to, yeah, so now I'm in my slideshow presentation and I click on the trigger space and home screen came out. All right, this is the previous slide, the previous animation I worked on before this class. But I wanted to give me this. Give me the first. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It still works the same way. So for every time I click on our trigger space, it gives me my items one by one until I'm done with that, and then I move to the next. All right. Now, if you look at my screen, if you look at what just happened to my screen, there was a transition effect. Okay. It didn't just move like the others. If you notice, the others just changed and changed and changed and changed. But mine came out, this came out as a flipped page. All right. Now I'm going to show you how we did that, and let's see how fast we can cover that. All right. So you come to your insert header and look at the space under illustrations. Now, under illustrations, you have the chart option. Okay. Now, under chart, just select the first on the left and the first on the right. That is the column chart style and the clustered column. All right. And click on OK. Now, it's immediately going to give you a default setting for charts, and it's going to give you a small Microsoft Excel looking space. Okay. Now, when it gives you this Excel space, you can manipulate the figures inside however you want. This is just a demo space it gave you for you to, walk around whatever figures you want. Now, I want the highest figure to be in the second. On the second figure, the highest figure rather to be in the second space. So I'm going to change this to 2.5 and change this one to 4.5. Okay. And once I'm done with that, I click on cancel and it is gone. All right. Now, okay, before I do that, let me just insert again. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I forgot to mention that you would need to pick how many you want to highlight. Now, I want to highlight just the first column. And so I'm going to have to drag this and reduce this to here. And that's that. Okay, so this is 4.5 and this is 2.5. All right. Now, if you notice the graph immediately on my screen has changed, has taken effect. Okay. Now, let's assume that this graph is showing the market sales for a particular space for a month or 2 months, or let's say 4 months. And in my second space, I had the highest number of sales, and I want it to be seen in my presentation that obviously this was done. So I'm going to come over to chart styles and give it a black background. So style 8 is a black background, and I want it black because of some manipulation I'm going to do. Okay, now while you're selected in the chart, there are 3 options by your right hand side: a plus, a paintbrush, and a funnel. All right, so you click on the brush, it shows you style and color. If you click on color, you can change the color of your bars in your chart as you want. Okay, I'm going to keep it green to rhyme with the B.O.F theme. Okay, and then I want something to show that this one is the highest one. I want it to be eye-catching. So I'm going to come over to insert, and under insert, And under insert, I'm going to click on shapes. Okay. I'll come down to stars and banners and I click on 5-point star. All right. Now I've been asked where I want to draw the star. You hold down your shift button for every shape you want to insert that that can be dragged. Okay. It's going to have a sort of dynamic movability. So when you click and you drag, if for example you clicked an oval, as you drag it becomes more of an oval. But if you hold down your shift button and you drag, it comes out as a perfect circle. Okay, so I'm going to hold down my shift so that my star comes out very uniform. All right, and now I'm going to move it over to here. I want to reduce the size a bit. Shifts and down. Okay, yeah, and rotate this. Okay. All right. Now I'm on my shape, and normally I told you when you select something that's editable, it brings out the format bar for you. So on your format space, click on the option shape fill, okay, and then click the option no fill, right? Then shape outline and pick a contrasting color. I'm going to pick yellow so that it shows properly on my workspace. And then still in shape outline, the place where you see weight, okay, click on weight and increase the thickness of the borders of your image. All right, I click on 3 points and I have my star showing here. Now, I click somewhere else and I have my star boldly appearing right there. Okay, now, how does transition come into all of this? All right, you might ask yourself, this is just insertion and charts and shapes and what have you that we are doing. Okay, but transition comes in like this. So you click, let me delete this first. You right click on the slide you are currently working on, right, and click duplicate slide. Now, in that slide duplicate, click on, or rather in the original slide, forgive me for that, click on your shape and then stretch it out as much as you would to whatever length you want to. Let it be bigger than your workspace. Okay. And then you can also zoom out to make it, your zoom button is on your bottom right. You zoom out to make it smaller so that you can drag your shape some more. Okay, drag it out as far as you would want. Then keep that there. All right, so if you're seeing my screen currently, you see how my star looks, right? It's bigger than the screen itself. Now, if I were to zoom back in, okay, you're just going to see the edges of the star around my workspace. Okay, now, when you come to the second slide, that is the one you duplicated from the first, you then go to the options transition, and then you pick whatever transition style you want. I want to use the shred option now and see what it looks like. So it's going to shred from the bigger one to the smaller one, but that doesn't really give me what I want. So I'm going to keep searching for what can give me that. I come and I check for the switch option. The switch option just draws it down. And I'm not really feeling that. Okay, I click on Vortex, and Vortex shreds everything to pieces and brings it back again, almost like the shred option, but that's almost like too much graphic. I don't want that. Let me see what Ripple does. Ripple just changes it from the inside out. Let's see what clock does. Yeah, so clock wipes out the star. So if my star was smaller, just on the edges of what I have here, and I clicked on that, it would have been a little better. But that's not what I want. I want the page lift that we saw in the other. and that's the peel off option. Okay, so when you select peel off and click on the star beside your slide that you're currently working on, you see how it transitions from slide 3 to slide 4. So it brings that small star inside. Okay, there are some other versions of Microsoft PowerPoint that have well, would I say, more effective transition options that would help you to, better represent this thing we are doing. Okay, so if I use the crush option, I think crush is actually closer to what I want. Yeah, yeah, I actually like crush. So if you just take a second and look at my screen, yeah, so this is what it looks like. So we'll preview that to check if it has, yeah. Okay, so let's say I'm going through my slide and then I get to page 3 and page 4, and that's exactly what it will look like. Yeah. So once more, I run it again from the first page. This is B.O.F. MS Office Class 5, and let's assume I'm doing a presentation. Then I move and I say the outline for day 2 is slide master, smart art, text box, overlay, selection pane, animations, transitions, and last tab. And this page is strictly confidential, and everyone can see the word confidential written across. And then you move and say, we have a graphical representation of sales over the past 4 months, and we are proud to announce that month 2 was the highest. And once you click that, your transition animation, or your transition effect rather, takes place, and you are home and dry. Okay? Now, I don't want to go further down in the slide because it's not what we came here for. Okay? But this is it. Now, after transitions, I want to tell you about a few things. Now, this is not specifically written in our outline, but it's just going to help us in our PowerPoint usage. Okay, it's proper etiquette to put your last slide as a thank you slide, right? Just to thank the listeners for listening to you and the viewers for watching. You can say thank you for listening. You can say thank you for paying attention. Thank you for being attentive. But I just wrote the word thank you here. Now, just like every other text, you can edit your thank you to look however you want. And so Control A, I can make this bigger to 60. I can still push it further up to 72, change my font to whatever I want it to look like. And then, yeah. So for whatever presentation you have, you should ensure that you end your slides with a thank you slide. Okay? No matter how much under pressure you are, just make sure that you put your last slide as a thank you slide. All right, make this bold, and that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and ask if there are any questions. Do you have any questions? Yes, Nonso Ikem.
Yeah, thank you so
Your hand
much.
is up.
Yes, thank you
All
so much,
right.
sir. There's some place area I lost. I didn't get it very well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that animation timer. I was looking at it, but
Okay.
I didn't know the area I clicked.
Okay. So the animation timer, if you're looking at my screen now, you're seeing where my cursor is here. So under animations, and you select your, let's change the animation type now. Effect options from left. Okay. And then animation timer. So the duration will specify the length of your animation. Depending on how high you put it, it would. So, okay, let me just give you a practical demonstration. If I increase this to, now, when you see 0.75 or 0.50 there, that's in milliseconds. Okay, so 0.50 is half a second, and 1 is 1 full second. Now, if I should do this, this is 1 whole second, okay. Now, if I click on this, you notice that the slide came in slower because I increased the time. So it's going to fill up the duration of 1 second. If I increase this to 3 seconds and I click on that again, it's going to become slower because it needs to move and finish its movement at the end of 3 seconds. Okay, so that's what duration is. Whereas delay is telling the page now to play that animation after a certain number of seconds. So if I add 1 second delay and I do this, it's going to wait for 1 second and then start. And when it starts, that's when the duration timer will start. Okay? So your delay and duration are just to select the speed. So if I bring my duration timer now down to 0.25 seconds, as soon as I click on this, it jumps in. Okay, I've not reduced my delay. I reduce my delay to 0 seconds. As I click on this, it comes out immediately. There's very fast because it has to be done in a quarter of a second. Okay, so that's that about animation timing. All right, I hope that was clear enough. Mr. Nonso, you're not responding again.
And I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, I said I hope that was clear enough.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, in the absence of any questions, we are going to adjourn the class for today. Now, as you may have heard or may have gathered, this is the last class for the series. Throughout next week, we are going to be running assessments and basically tests and grading for your certificate collection. And okay, let's just call it projects. We are going to be doing projects. All right, I don't want to call it assignments. We're going to be doing projects, and the projects would, your performance on the projects will determine whether you would get your certificate or not. So that it's not as if you just came here and kept your phone to listen for you and then you go back. You actually have to practice these things and get good at them to be certified. So that when you present your certificate that it was given by this and issued by that, you would actually not embarrass anybody outside. So that is the essence of the project. So throughout next week, that's what we'll be doing. And we have come to the end of the class for today and the class for the session. All right. So before I go, I'd like to thank our sponsors and our founder and pioneer, Professor Omijeh. And I'd like to encourage everyone who is willing to sponsor the foundation, who is willing to become a partner, who has a company or organization that is willing to fund these things, because as you're well aware, this is a free training, and for it to be free, it has to be sponsored by some people. So as many as can, this is an open invitation for you. Thanks in anticipation. Thanks for attending the class and thanks for participating. We're really happy to have you here. And once again, it was my pleasure being your tutor. My name is Ubana Ayuwo. Thank you and God bless you all. Good night.